Welcome back, everyone, to my audience and anyone who might be new to the show. This is Snazzy TV, and I'm your host, Alana Tyson. And I have a guest here with me, Mr. Kevin Money. And we're going to get into why he's here. But before we do that, let's do some housekeeping rules real quick. Definitely make sure that you like, follow, share, subscribe, all that stuff. If I missed anything, you know what to do. Make sure you check out Snazzy TV on YouTube. That's where you're going to see this full interview. You're going to see interviews that I've done in the past with content creators and influencers and all that good stuff. So, this is again before they get famous. And I'm kind of mixing it up a little bit in this episode. This is episode 7. So, wow, we are going through the new year. I'm trying to do at least 2 episodes a month. And so that kind of gives folks a little bit of an idea of what they can expect. So that's the goal, folks, for me to do 2 episodes a month because it's a lot to cover. Because I love to do like full on interviews where I'm getting a lot of detail from folks, and that does take quite a bit of time to do all this research and stuff and to find my guests. So if you're out there and you're watching and you have anyone that you want to see here on the show, definitely send me a DM or an email or what have you, and I'll try and see if I can make it happen. So normally, the folks who follow the show, you know that the title of the show is Before They Get Famous. And so my guest here today, who we'll get into talking to him in a minute, is technically not an influencer by definition, right? But Kevin definitely does have quite a bit of influence in that arena. And how so is he is a web designer. So we're going to talk to Kevin a little bit more about what he brings, to the industry, and we'll talk a little bit about kind of maybe we'll have a little fun and try and get some ideas and in terms of what are we seeing out there in web design and what's trending, maybe some taboo things that we shouldn't be doing with our websites, that kind of stuff. Before we get into that, we're going to do shout outs. Everybody knows that we do shout outs here on the show. Again, I am doing something a little different this time. I'm not shouting out anyone specific. I decided this episode to shout out my audience. I have quite a few loyal followers that check in with each episode, and so I really want to show some appreciation to the folks who continue to watch, and just to the creators out there, like anyone who is taking the time to create content. Um, Anyone who's doing that, that this is not easy. A lot of us have day jobs, right? And so it definitely does take a lot of it's a labor of love. So shout out to anybody out there who is creating anything, who is trying to grow their brand, who's trying to grow their audience. It does take time. Pace yourself. Don't try to do it all in one video. You're going to go through some ebbs and flows, and your look is going to change over time. And so just keep at it, and shout out to the content creators and the influencers that are out there, just making it happen. So that's my shout out for this episode. Kevin, do you have any to bring?
Yes. First, shout out to Miss Alana for what you're doing in the world and in the industry. They might be sleeping on you now, but give us some time. They will not be sleeping on you in due time. What you're doing is amazing and incredible, and I'm honored to be on your show today.
Awesome,
Uh,
thank you.
and then shout out to my wife, 14 years this past December, for believing in me and pushing me to continue to do web design when I wanted to quit. And then my mentor, his name is Roderick Barnes. You never heard of him, but he's this guy here in San Antonio who he's a web developer. He's a scientist. He's a brother of mine. He's a pastor. He's just an incredible guy, and I wouldn't be this far with all that I'm doing with web design if it wasn't for him. So big shout out to him as well.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So those are our shout outs. So, Kevin, I introduced you as a web designer, but I do know that you do a lot more than that. And so in the interest of, making sure that we get it right, I will let you kind of describe, what it is. I know that you have an entity called Bueno-Money
Mm-hmm.
Enterprises.
Right.
And if you could just tell us a little bit about that. You started that in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and tell
Right.
us just a little bit about what BME kind of is.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So, Bueno-Money Enterprises is actually, first of all, it's my wife's maiden name and my name. It's her last name is Bueno Money, meaning good money, which is so awesome. So I knew it was a brand when we put it together, and it is a myriad of things, but the main focus of Bueno Money Enterprises right now is 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 digital marketing. Is digital marketing for our new startup people, smaller nonprofit organizations, things like that. People who can't afford $3 and $5 and $6 and $7,000 for a website, but they got a couple of dollars in their hand and they want something that will put them in competition with the big guys. So that's pretty much the organization. It's been around, like you said, for now 8 years. I can't believe it. Feels like I just started. And we're growing. We're growing, and it's been almost overwhelming the amount of
Awesome.
growth that we've been experiencing lately. It's been quite amazing.
Awesome. And Kevin, I like to be transparent on this show, and most of my audience that follows me knows that. So whenever I have a little tidbit, I want to make sure people know about it. So you were instrumental in helping my organization get its website up and running. So, and we're still working through that. But that's how I met you. We met on Fiverr.
Hmm.
And I think for those in this arena, that is a digital marketplace of where you can kind of freelance um, different services.
Right.
And so that's how we met. And I asked you to, do some work with me in that digital market space, and I've been quite pleased. The web design piece. So let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this as I was preparing. Web design and web developer, are those two different things?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
They
ma'am.
are. Okay.
A designer is what you see on the front end of the page, right? That's the beautiful, the aesthetics, the thing that really draws you to the site is the design. A developer is a person that does all the things behind the scenes, simply put, right? So if you're taking payments online, a developer makes sure that the payments go from your website to your bank account, right?
Mm,
If you have some type of consulting firm where you are booking services or something like that, right? A developer makes sure that the coding is correct so that when a customer is going to your page for a date, a time, or whatever, that it's doing the whole automation thing so
mm,
that that they're getting the emails and you're getting the email, your clients getting the email, and it's helping your company work seamlessly. And there's a
okay.
lot of different things too, but mostly when you see developers, they're mostly coders.
Yeah.
Mostly these are individuals who like to put the numbers and the letters and the special
Mm,
characters together to get what we get to see on the front end.
right. And that's important. And I like that
Mhm.
question because I feel like sometimes that those terms are used interchangeably when they shouldn't
Mhm.
be,
No, ma'am.
right? That's two completely different fields, right? Two completely
Hmm.
different industries, and not you may have. It's important when you're looking for somebody to help you with that, because
Right,
one person may not be able to do it all, right?
right, right.
Okay. All right. So that's an important thing. Let me ask you this, and we're going to get into a lot more interesting things in terms of, but I kind of want to flush
Okay.
out kind of your background so that when we start talking about these things that are maybe more relative to the creator, it'll kind of make more sense so that folks know, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, so let's see. Okay, so let's go back to Fiverr real quick. So an interesting little thing that you told me was
Okay.
when you started out, you were kind of just putting out these really, really low prices. And this is super smart. And this is something that if you're a creator and you're listening to this is something that you can do or try, or, it's a path that'll lead you to somewhere greater, right? So you were really lowballing your services, right?
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
you could get as many clients as you could. So tell us a little bit about that because I thought that was awesome.
So yeah, Fiverr, this platform, when you first get on, and I've been on since like the beginning of Fiverr, almost like towards the beginning of Fiverr, and the big push was get a job done for like $5. Right, and that was
Wow.
it, $5. And so, in my ignorance, honestly, I'm not going to act like it was something that was intelligent. But in my ignorance, I thought that's all I could charge was $5. And so I didn't know, right? And so I would design, websites. I mean, 5 and 10 and 15 page websites with e-commerce and stores and all kinds of stuff for $5. And I
Wow.
would put my heart and soul into it, and I would get really good reviews, and and then I started seeing that my portfolio was building up very
Mm,
quickly. Within like the first 3 months, I think I had done like almost like 40 websites. So I was
wow.
really, really busy. But 40 websites times five, not that much money, right? Not that
Right.
much.
Well, you got a whole lot of experience though.
Whole lot. And so from there, I think one day I just saw that somebody was charging more for their website, and I was like, how do they do that? So I had to do some research to figure out that, oh, I could actually increase my prices. But what Fiverr does really well is they reward you for good
Mm,
work. And so it opens up, more, gigs, more opportunity to make money, all
mhm.
kinds of different things. So I slowly but surely, I began to like increase my prices, and really it came with confidence. I wasn't really as confident as I am now,
Right.
so I was kind of scared to charge what I charge now,
Yeah.
and because I didn't know if I was good enough. But after time,
Yeah.
a lot of practice, a lot of portfolio work, it
Right.
really actually ended up being helpful to start off
Wow.
that way.
So, because I could kind of see how that could be a double-edged sword, right? Because
Yes.
somebody could look and say, "Why is he only charging $5?
Right.
What kind of work am I going to get for $5?" But then
Yeah.
you'd be, pleasantly surprised, right?
Right. Right. It
Okay.
was crazy because my first ever, I can't remember her name, but I remember she was African American. And she saw my profile pic, and she was like, I want you to be my web designer. And from
Mm.
her, it just kind of just didn't stop. It really just
Wow.
didn't stop. And again, I started with Fiverr at the very beginning of Fiverr. So I was one of the first like web designers they had through the program that I used. So it was like it wasn't a lot of picks. So it was like
Mm.
me and like maybe like three other people. And
Right.
for our community, people of color,
Yeah.
they see
Yeah.
me, they're like, oh, I'm gonna come to this guy. And so that's kind of how I just, got better and got stronger at what I do.
And a lot of times it's a matter of just choosing someone that understands the culture,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Or
Right,
choosing someone, and that's not to say that someone that is, non-black couldn't produce an amazing website,
right, right.
but depending on what that website is, right?
Mhm,
If you have for example, if you want to create a website with focusing on news in the black community,
mhm.
I'm sure someone from, Pakistan or India could create that with their eyes closed. But
Yeah,
are they going to understand the content? Are they going to understand the mission behind all that?
right.
So, how many? And this might not be a fair question, but I'm going to ask anyway. You just tell me
Mhm.
if you don't want to
It's
answer.
fine.
How many websites would you say you've done over your web designing career?
Wow. So I'll be honest. So on Fiverr, I just crossed 500 websites on Fiverr.
Wow.
So again, that's 7, 8 years. So that's
Wow.
500, and I've done a lot of work offline too. So I would say around 800 websites. If I can be honest with you, about
Wow.
800 websites. Yeah, I
Okay.
was calculating the other day, and I was like, this can't be real. But like, no, it's really real. I've done that many
Wow.
websites.
Yeah. Okay. And this is and just folks, and this is not his day job. So that's incredible.
No,
That is
not
absolutely incredible. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the actual idea of web design, right?
okay.
So as it relates to social media, you have some theories of thought where a lot of creators feel like they don't need a website or they don't want a
Mm,
website or websites are passe or I don't need that. I'm on Instagram, I'm on the gram and that's all I need.
mhm.
And that may be true depending on what it is that you're selling or depending on what it is that you're who you're influencing and all that kind of thing.
Right.
But is if you're a creator, and this may be a loaded question, but if you're a creator, would you say that a website is necessary?
Absolutely. The
Mm.
website is your brick and mortar. It's the brick and mortar of the 21st century, where a
Mm.
lot of us will probably never have an actual brick and mortar building to do our operation out of. You
Mm.
have to give people a place to go to that's beyond YouTube and beyond Instagram, whatever. Why? Because the people who have the money are looking for you on something else other
Mm.
than Instagram. They don't want to waste their time on Instagram. The people with the money, right?
Right.
Not the people who are just interested in buying your shoe or watching your like. No, the people like
Mm.
who want to give you money to hold their can in your hand. They're looking for a place where you are represented, where your brand is represented. Because what they're going to do is say, hey, we want to be a part of your Instagram, your YouTube, and on your website, and we'll give you X amount of dollars to do that. I think people cheat themselves out of more money if they don't have a website.
Right.
Because
Even if it's just a landing page, right?
this, right, a landing page with your beautiful picture on there with how to contact you. Right? It doesn't have to be much, how to contact you, all the different platforms that you're on, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, what have you. It just gives a place to go. And then if you have merch, if in which most influencers, if they really want to make money at what they do, you need to have merch. Well, where can I buy your stuff? Well, I got to go to a website. It might as well be a place where it's your website to where they're buying directly from you or what have you, right? But it's your brand, your face, it's all you. And again, people who have the money, they're looking at where to find you. Other than social media, you don't think they will, but they are. They're looking to find out where can I find just you, because they don't want the distraction of looking at other people's videos, and you don't want them. And this is again, you don't want them having the
Right.
distraction of looking at other people's videos. I want you to be focused on me. Okay,
Mm.
come in, her. What's that girl named her? Focus on me, right? Right, focus on me,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You can click on my link in my bio, and you go straight to my website, and now you're falling in love with me because all you see
Mm.
is Kevin or whoever the influencer is. So that's what you should want a
Mm.
website. Again, you don't have to. Websites don't have to be expensive. But we know this. They don't have to be very expensive. There's some that you could create on your own if you're gifted to do that, or you can call people like me and we could do it for you as well. And it just helps you get beyond YouTube, because understand this: not everybody wants to stay on YouTube forever. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. But if you look at somebody like Kim Kardashian, she's got brands. She's got many of them. But if you go
Right.
to her website, you can see all her stuff. And I want you to
Yeah.
see everything that I got. You're right. That's why
Right.
having a branded site that belongs to you, not
Right.
YouTube, not Instagram, but belongs to you, is imperative in this stage of the game
Mm.
where we are at right now with the world.
I completely agree. I definitely agree with that. I feel like having a website, because even myself, right, and you, I don't know. I thought maybe it was just because I was old school, but
Mm.
now I feel validated because I've always had a website just for me.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's great. I can tell people, oh, check me out on Instagram or whatever. But I feel like with Instagram, it's like going to the big box, right? Going to a big
Mhm.
box store, and
Yeah.
then just like all the merchandise that is
Right.
to offer, as
Right.
opposed to going to the store that is
Right.
Alana's.
I like the way
So
that is. Yeah. Going
yeah.
to going to YouTube is like going to a mall, right? And there's so many options. You have no idea. It's like going to Finish Line to see all these different shoes, or going to Nike, going to Jordan. Because
Right.
I want a pair of Jordans. I'm focused on a pair of Jordans. But if I go to Finish Line, that salesperson and their algorithm is set up to show me all kinds of different shoes to see what matches my budget, my taste buds, whatever, right?
Right.
But in my mind, I want Jordan. So instead, I'd rather go to Jordan.com or whatever the website is, right? And focus on just getting me a pair of Jordans, not Adidas, not Nike. I mean, those are great brands, but I don't have to go there to see all those brands. I want what I want, right? And that's what you should want from your consumers. I want you to want me. I
Yeah.
don't want you to want anybody else.
Exactly. Right. Because you
Right?
mess around and send them to Instagram and they'll get distracted by somebody else as your
Exactly.
competition.
Your competition, right? Because
And
because we're all in competition. It's all. I mean, we're competing for the attention of somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for people who are influencers, yes, you're trying to influence people to think how you think or to see how you see, but you also got to remember there's people out there with money who just want to give away money for whatever reason. They're looking to sponsor
Right.
people.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they're just looking to give away money, and so you're competing for their attention as well to give you money to support their brand, right? But also this could be how people could have go from your 9 to 5 right now to this being your 9 to 5.
Right.
Is somebody says I'll give you 50 grand a month just to hold my drink. Well,
Mm-hmm.
hey, let me let me do that.
Exactly.
Right? Because they're focused on Kevin. They're focused on you.
Right. Right. And let's say somebody comes to you, Kimberly Reed comes to you, I'm making that up. And she's just like, you know what? I want a website. I have no idea what I need, but I just need something. What advice
Yes.
are you giving them? And
So
what are
if I
you
was talking to
using?
Kimberly, if I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to Kimberly, I would tell her, listen, when you look at WordPress and Wix, WordPress is like the originator, right? This was one of the very first online platforms for a person to design their website. Now, just because it was the first doesn't mean that it was the best. Right? There's been many iterations of different platforms that have come out after WordPress that are more user friendly. Right? They're more user friendly for the front end user, you, the person who's going on the website, and then a person like myself who's a web designer, like not a developer, a designer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who I don't have 15 hours to work on a website, right? Right?
Right.
I just don't have that kind of time.
I'm laughing because what we talked about before where anyway, yeah, I had a developer and it didn't go well, folks. Okay. Let's just see that.
Right? And you don't have that kind of time either. You need something quick, fast, in a hurry. And so with using a program like Wix, whether I'm designing it or that person, whether design it on their own, you can get a website up within 24 hours, if not less, way less than that, depending on what kind of time you put into the website. But for me, I love like Wix and like even like Weebly a little bit,
Oh yeah.
Squarespace, because they're called drag and drop, right? You can drag and drop and you put it in certain kind of places and it kind of just fits. WordPress, if you're good, you can make it work for you, right? But most people aren't good like that. Like I might be good,
Right.
but I'm not good like that. And again, I don't have patience to sit here and just beat my head trying to figure out why is this thing not going where I want it to go.
Ah,
Well, with the special thing about Wix or with Weebly, probably more like Wix, is the fact that you can literally like drag the information, like drag a picture and put it wherever you want it to go. You don't have to, it's not blocked in certain places where you just have to put it in this place. You
right.
can put it wherever you want. And so that's one of the things I love about it. And then also, again, it's time. I mean, now I've gotten, some people get to a place where they can finish a website in like 2 hours, 1 hour,
Wow.
depending on how much content is on that site.
Mm.
And then let's say you hire like a person like me to design it. I could design it, make it look beautiful, perfect, whatever. But let's say after you hire me, you're done with me. You don't want me to edit it. You can do the edits on your own. Well,
Mm.
Wix is so user friendly to where as long as you don't mess up what I've done, that's the key. Don't mess up what I've done, but you need to add some content or you need to switch a picture out or whatever. It's
Mhm.
so easy to do. It takes you like less than 10 seconds to get all that done.
Right.
So that makes
And
it easier too. It's more cost effective for people.
yeah. So let me ask this. What are some of the key questions that a creator should ask for someone who is looking to design or develop a site for them? And any key questions you can think of that they should be asking?
So
I
this
want
is
to say, how many sites have you done?
right.
That
Yeah.
might be the first question.
Always ask for the portfolio. Always look at what they've done. I get asked all the time, can I see your portfolio? And I'm so proud of my portfolio. I'm like, absolutely.
Mm,
See my portfolio because my work speaks for itself. Their work should speak for themselves. If they can't provide you a portfolio, they're not worth your time. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sorry. But it's like going to a restaurant that nobody's ever gone to. But they keep trying to tell you to come, like, well, who's eating here?
right.
Well, nobody's eating here, but we're good. I promise you we're good. Well, I mean, right. And so look for a portfolio, especially if they're going to charge you. Like if they're going to charge you a lot of money, I need to see something. Who have you worked for? What website have you done? So that's one thing. Uh, you know, years of experience is not really a big deal for me. This is just for me. It's not a big deal
Okay.
for me, right? Where yes, I've been doing this for a long time now, but I mean, there are some people who are truly gifted and they can truly like do a good job in a short amount of time and only have like 6 to 9 months of experience just because they get obsessed with it and they just keep
Yeah.
trying, right? But as long as they have a portfolio and as long as the portfolio can justify the price, if the portfolio can justify the price, then yeah, I can work with you. But if it doesn't justify the price, you're trying to charge me $1,000, but you've done two websites and they both look like like Legos, then no, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not
Minecraft.
yeah, no, this is not going to work. Right?
Right.
So definitely ask for portfolio. Definitely ask for price, and then also like make an agreement. Like if you can't pay all of it up front, do half up front and then half when they're finished,
Mhm.
right? And then make sure, like if they're going to use like a Wix program, make sure you know who's responsible for the hosting and the domain. That's important.
Right.
Because if you're doing with Wix, Wix will charge you a hosting fee, which pretty much means, well, we're going to hold your website and put it on the World Wide Web so people can find you. Pretty much, right?
Mhm.
And then you can get a domain. Who's responsible for purchasing that? You or the designer or the agency?
Right.
So get all that information up front so that there's nothing hidden and you're not
Mhm.
hit with all these fees later on saying, well, not only do we need the last half of our payment, but you owe us the hosting fee and the
Oh,
domain and the email address
no.
and yada yada yada.
Right. And all that stuff should be kind of hashed out up front.
Yes.
So what are some, let's talk about some things that are kind of taboo, would you say, that you don't want to see on a website? Like what should people avoid? I
Uh,
see you wincing over there.
yes.
You've seen some bad stuff, huh?
Oh, some bad things. Okay, the first thing is never put music on your website.
Yes.
Never put music. That's the
Ooh.
word. Now, if you are an artist, like a musician, that makes perfect sense to me, right? But if you're a construction company or if you are, you know, even a model, like what is the
Right.
music helping? It's distracting and this is what's so bad, right? Some people might watch they might open up your website in a public place, right? And sometimes we don't mess with the settings or the volume on our phone, so it can be very loud. So if you're not ready and you open up that website and it starts blaring music, it's gonna startle you and everybody else around you. That's so annoying. And so
Yeah.
now I'm turned off. Now
Yeah.
I'm turned off. I don't want to look at your website no more because I gotta sit there and click my volume button down because you want to put some loud music on your site. It's not necessary, right?
Okay.
That's one
Love
thing.
it.
Uh, um, um, so I love like photos on a website. If you ever see my work, I love photos. In my opinion, make the site these days.
Okay.
Like stock photos or like really good professional photos really make the website. So it's really not so much my creativity that makes the website. It's your pictures. So you give me some good pictures, they're wonderful. Never ever put smartphone pictures on a website.
Oh.
Yeah. Now
You
unless
see,
you
I
have
just
these
had a
higher
moment like, oh, did I do that? Let me
well,
think about
unless
that.
because you think about like especially if you're gonna make the image big, on a website, right? It can get grainy, very pixelated. Right now, there are some cameras now that are really good. I mean, they're our technology is amazing these days, right? So some like iPhones and even some Pixels, they'll let you get away with it, right?
Yeah.
But take the time, spend the money, get a professional, especially if you're an individual content creator. It's just you. Find somebody because you have a friend who's an up and coming photographer. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah. And
right?
find one on Fiverr.
I want really, and
Right.
then you take a picture of you, and make it really, really, really good. And you just need one or two. You can put those on your site instead of trying to take a picture with your phone, a selfie, which is the worst thing, and
Mm.
put it on your website. That doesn't look professional. That's not going to get you attention. That's going to get people closing out of your website because it doesn't look like a brand. It looks like somebody, like a kid,
Yeah.
playing around.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that, right? So
Okay.
music, phone pictures are terrible, and I think the last thing is small words, small fonts. Actually, today people like bigger font. People like bigger font, uh, and not okay. Small font, and then not a lot of words. Not
Mm.
a lot of words.
I'm taking
People
notes.
don't like to read. People don't like to read that much. If you have a novel, not even like a real novel, right? But if you have a lot to read, that's going to throw them off. You need to make sure that your mission statement is clear, your vision statement is clear,
Let
that
me
it's not
sip a
so
light real
wordy,
quick. Uh-huh.
you know. And so you got to make sure that it's small and concise, small, but then that the message is short and concise so they can get it within a few seconds. All right, because
Okay.
if I have to read a novel to understand what you're bringing to the table, they're gonna lose interest. If you've ever been on Facebook, if you've ever been on Instagram, Instagram is a master at this. Instagram knew people love images so much to where the whole site is images. There's nothing but it's nothing but
Mm.
pictures. And so people will probably never read the content that belongs to that picture, but they will look at that picture and they'll double tap it because of what they saw on
Wow.
Facebook. We ran a study with my firm. We ran a study and we noticed that people who have pictures are more likely to get likes and reactions versus people who don't put pictures down. So if you just have
Mm.
words, people are not going to read it
Wow.
unless they like you, unless
Yeah.
they really really like you.
Right. Let's say like you.
Yeah, and so you got to be out of the box. So that's why I tell people like do videos, like intro videos, and make it like a
Mm.
minute and a half, because people
Okay.
will watch and they'll listen more than
Mm.
they'll read. This
Right.
day and age, people don't like to read. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
they
It's
really don't like to
unfortunate.
read. I mean,
Yeah.
I like Audible. That lets you know how much I like to read. I like
Uh
Audible. I like
yes, mm-hmm.
I gotta
Yeah.
listen to it,
And
right? So
I think also that is because pardon me, people just don't have as much time,
they do not.
and at
Do
least with
not.
Audible, I use I use something similar to Audible. I use my free library version called Libby.
Okay.
But I'm like, it's the same thing. I can get the same books.
Hmm.
But it's you get the audibles, and you're right. It's just people just don't have the time. It's like I can do so much more. I can multitask. I can drive and listen to my book. I can
Right.
do
Right.
the dishes. I can do laundry, and we finish the whole book in a couple days.
Yes.
Okay, so I am loving those taboos, Kevin. Okay,
Hmm.
that's what I'm going to call them. I'm going to call them the taboos. All right, so kill the music unless it's relevant, right?
Right.
Unless you're a musician, and
Right.
right, unless you're a musician, kill the music. No,
Right.
no tiny font that people have to put glasses on to read,
Right.
and make sure your pictures are professional,
Yes.
right? No selfies,
Yes.
unless you know unless you're unless it calls for that, unless you're saying,
Right.
"Look at my selfie,"
Hmm.
right? But
Right.
don't basically don't try to pass off a selfie as a professional photo,
No, please don't.
because people will know.
Yeah, we're not dumb. People are not as dumb as you think they are.
Yeah.
No.
So, and this is, and you may know more about this than me. I tried to find some stats on this, but I couldn't. I gave up. Do you think, or has your business picked up since COVID?
Oh my goodness. I Man, COVID blessed my business. Let me tell you right now.
Wow.
The whole COVID pandemic, it really blessed my it had to been like June or July. So I have another organization, right? I have another organization where we teach kids dance. We do stage productions, right? And because COVID hit, we couldn't do that anymore. So I was losing that revenue that was coming into just, to my staff, and then also to me. I was,
Right.
making a little bit of change on the side too. And so my wife was like, you need to pick up web design again. Because at this time I hadn't done it in a long time because I was really focused on the other business. So I put myself back on Fiverr. And the same time I did that, I had just so many people who are coming at me, people who look like us in our community,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who
Yeah.
saw me like, yes, a black man who does web design. Like I've never seen a black man do web design. So they were just happy. I mean, when I say catapulted, I have a 9 to 5 that I love. I love my daytime job, right?
Yeah.
So I was just doing it just so I could have an extra stream of income. But I make just as much money on my 9 to 5 with my business as I do my 9 to 5, and I make pretty good money.
Mm.
So it's like it's equaling. It's so crazy how it's working now. But I I can't get a break. That's how much business I have. I can't
Wow.
get a even like right now. I'm thinking about like the 15 websites in my
That's
queue that I have to
wow.
get done within the next week and a half
Wow.
because it's what COVID did. COVID did one or two things. It made people get creative with their time, it got really creative and said, you know what, I'm just sitting here doing nothing. What can I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially for people who lost their jobs, which my heart goes out to all those people who lost their job because of COVID. They
Mm-hmm.
lost their job, but they couldn't just sit there. They had to do something.
Right.
So they started dreaming and getting creative. My wife says
Yeah.
that creativity is birthed out of crazy times or chaos or even boring times or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
She's like it really creativity is birthed in those moments. And so here it is. I'm getting people calling me and saying, "Hey, I need a website. I got a new T-shirt line, or I got a new candle line, or I'm a consultant or life coach, whatever." I've never seen so many life coaches in my entire life.
People had
But
all this time. I think, and I asked that question for, because even, with my, passions and this with ASMAS and Snazzy TV, I just feel like people had so much more time,
yeah,
right? With with COVID, it's like, okay, you had all these creative ideas, but you couldn't do anything with them because your 9 to 5 was pulling you away, and
right,
it was eating up so much of your time, especially if you have a family, right? So you
right,
you got your 9 to 5, then you come home and you have to work on getting the kids together and homework, and next thing
right,
you know, it's time to go to bed, and then it starts all over again. And
right,
then the weekend, only thing you're doing is the stuff you didn't get a chance to do Monday through Friday. So
right.
now with this COVID, it's like I'm pretty sure there have been a lot of people who said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do my whatever. I'm gonna start my website. Or I'm gonna start my life coach business. Or I'm gonna start my
Right.
fitness business.
Right. And so
Wow.
now it was like, COVID catapulted a lot of people into their destiny and their passion, because some of them would have never done anything had not COVID not happened. So our business has definitely been blessed by that. Which again, my business started again because of COVID. Like I had stopped doing websites for a good minute, but because of COVID, I started again and realized I needed to be in position to help these people out who needed websites. So it's been amazing. It's been an amazing ride.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Kevin, when we spoke prior, we talked about something that I thought was very compelling in terms of, like, when I asked you what was it that you wanted to give the audience during this session, right? What did
Yes.
what's kind of the takeaway? Because I feel like with every one of these, my intent is to make sure that someone takes something away. Like, even if it's,
Mhm.
maybe I'm gonna start my website tomorrow,
Right.
or it's like, oh wow, he did it, and now I can do it, or
Hmm.
you know. So what would you say the takeaway should be for someone who's watching this and maybe doesn't have a website, or maybe wants to do web design, right? Or just to the creator, what are you telling them? What is the
Yeah.
takeaway?
To anybody, new entrepreneur, creator, whatever, do not despise the days of your small beginnings. A lot of people see the big dream, right? We have dreams of grandeur, and I would never say don't go after it because you're listening to a dreamer. I love to dream, but the thing is, there's an equation, a pattern to the dream, right? And most of the time, that pattern is start off small, right? You guys heard me earlier talk about I charge $5 for a website. I started off small, but there's a law. I learned this in sales. There's a law that's called more. It's called the law of average. The law of average, which pretty much means more equals more. So the more work that I get, the more money I can make, the more influence I can have, and the more business I can potentially have in the future, right? And so don't despise the days of small beginnings. Be happy for your one like. Be happy for your one customer. Be happy for your one sale.
One
Be like
sale,
really
yeah.
celebrate those things. At my church, we say it like this: high five everything. So this about it could be your 10th customer. High five. You got a 10th customer, right? Your last video you only had 10 views, but your next video you have 13 views. High five. We got 3 more views than last. Don't
Yeah.
despise those days. Those days are the exciting part of the journey. When I look back at the fact that I only sold websites for $5, I was like, Kevin, what is wrong with you? But when I look at now how I have over 500 websites that I've done on one program and over
Wow.
300, just offline, I'm like, it started off by $5. It started off at
Wow.
$5, and now I can charge $500 or $1,000 because of my $5. I got better because the small beginnings means just get better. just get better at whatever it is that you do. Get better at
Yeah.
speaking, at your artistry, at your music, at your consulting. Get better at it, and then once you get strong, you can start charging more money, and then
Yeah.
you will see the big thing that you've been dreaming about.
Yeah. Where do we see BME next? What are your plans
Oh
for
man,
BME?
being me. So, gosh, there's so many things. You know, again, with being me, the web design or digital marketing is just one facet of what we do.
Yeah.
You know, we do consulting as well. We also do we do entertainment as well. We partner with some organizations to do their theater and film writing and production and directing and stuff like that. So where we're expanding, you know, so but really, I want to impact and touch as many young entrepreneurs as possible with what we do. So that their brand gets bigger, their brand gets noticed, what have you, and then we can just again just expand. I'm looking to I have like two. I just hired on like last week. I kid you not. I hired on two new web designers because I have so much work I can't get done on my own.
Wow.
And so I would
Nice.
love to have it to where globally I have so many people who work with us to create, web design and do social media stuff for our clients. And we are the behind the scenes. We call that Bezalel in the Bible. Somebody
Mm.
who's behind. You'll never see my face other than
Wow.
Snazzy TV, but we're
Yeah.
behind the scenes, making sure your brand and your vision come to life. So we want to impact the entertainment industry. We want to impact education. We want to impact
Yeah.
all the different spheres of influence. If we could touch a person of influence in each sphere of life, entertainment, sports,
Hmm.
education, even government,
Education.
and like do a
Yeah.
website for them, we can like spread the heartbeat of BME Creative
Mm.
to all these places in the world. That's kind of where we're
Awesome.
going right now.
Awesome. Well, I wish you all the absolute best. I see some really great things for you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing your insight to
Thank you.
our creative audience. For the amount of work that you have out there floating around, and of course and put some images and things of the work you've done. You are definitely the person to give advice on web design. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
And
you.
I hope that somebody in the audience is able to take something away from this. I'm going to make sure to put all of our information in the description box. And that is a wrap for this episode of Before They Get Famous. This was kind of a unique episode because, again, Mr. Kevin Money here is not necessarily an influencer, but he is touching everything out there that these influencers are making. So he in that sense he is definitely needs to be a part of the conversation. So this was kind of like a little info session. All right.
Mhm.
Well, thanks, Kevin. Have a
Thank
fantastic
you.
evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. God bless.
All righty. God bless.